Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. Today we're going to do a video on sex hormone binding globulin in males and females. We're going to talk about it. What is it? Can it help you? Can it hurt you? How to get it lower or higher if you have issues with that. Before we dive in, make sure you smash that like button. Put your comments down below. Let me know your issues in and around sex hormone binding globulin. Love to know your thoughts. And make sure you share the podcast video with a friend or family member. Appreciate it. All right, so let's dive in. Sex hormone binding globulin. It's what it is. It's actually a binding globulin. It's a protein that binds to free fractions of hormones. So it's kind of the way your body can modulate hormones. When there's maybe too much hormones, it can put this protein on it, and that prevents the protein from docking into a receptor site. So you have protein. Most hormones actually are bound to protein. So you have total protein, you have total hormones, which is 98% protein bound, and then the other 2 or 5% of that's free fraction. And so that free fraction, it can bind into a receptor site and have a metabolic response. Now, if you have a binding protein onto it, now that prevents that protein from being able to dock into a receptor site. And so that's kind of a way the body can modulate the hormone's ability to work. Now, things can throw this off. So, for instance, in males, if we have lots of excess estrogen, that could potentially throw off and could increase your sex hormone binding globulin. Your body could be freaking out and say, oh, we have to increase binding proteins and we're going to increase our sex hormone binding globulin. We can even see this in females too. We're on birth control pills, right? That could increase sex hormone binding globulin. It can also increase thyroid binding globulin. So we have SHBG, which binds to sex hormones indiscriminately, but we also have a binding globulin for thyroid. And so birth control pills are known to actually bind up, birth control pills are known to increase thyroid binding globulin, which does the same thing. It decreases your active thyroid hormones that are circulating. And so we also have issues with, thyroid binding globulins made from protein, right? So actually having adequate levels of protein can actually lower thyroid binding globulin levels. So high thyroid binding globulin sometimes can be caused by low protein. So making sure we have adequate levels of protein can actually help bring thyroid binding globulin down. Because let's say your thyroid hormone or your hormone levels in general aren't overly high, but you have a lot of binding globulin, sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG for short, that can actually decrease the amount of circulating hormones. So it can almost create low hormone symptoms, right? If you're female, that can create a whole bunch of issues with mood, energy, hot flashes, cognitive stuff, right? Breast tenderness, a lot of those PMS type of female type of symptoms. And so if we have inadequate levels of protein, that could be a problem. We may also see problems with low sex hormone binding globulin, which then causes an increase in testosterone in women, especially free testosterone. This is the more common issue. This is kind of what's involved in PCOS, right? Polycystic ovarian syndrome is where we have ovarian cysts, typically from excess androgens and testosterone. So when you have a lot more insulin circulating, that can also decrease SHBG, right? Sex hormone binding globulin, that can increase testosterone, and that testosterone, of course, can increase libido, cause more hair growth, and you're going to see it also increase your androgens, which can then obviously cause other issues and start to dysregulate your cycle, grow ovarian cysts, and create infertility as well. Most infertility in women is caused by PCOS, which the primarily driven mechanism is excess androgens, and SHBG can play a role. And what's the major treatment for PCOS in females today? Guess what? It's glucophage or metformin, which is a insulin sensitizing drug. It decreases glucose absorption in the stomach. It decreases gluconeogenesis in the liver, thus helping to improve insulin sensitivity. So what's the moral of the story there? If you're a female, you don't want to have too low SHBG. That's actually a problem. That's going to cause more androgens throughout the cycle, can even increase prolactin, which can create more hormonal issues, infertility, sex hormones, estrogen dominance type of issues, breast tenderness, cramping, mood issues. All of those things can be disrupted when we have low SHBG. We can have high SHBG with inadequate levels of protein. We can have high SHBG with excess hormones, right? Poor hormone detoxification can be a problem. So if we're increasing hormones from non-organic animal products, if we're increasing hormones from birth control pills or from plastics, that may increase SHBG. Big thing we can do with that is help detoxification, avoid the avoid the pesticide-laden, xenoestrogen-rich, foods, plastics, those kind of things. Get organic meats, get organic vegetables. Lots of good cruciferous vegetables are going to be very, very helpful in supporting estrogen and hormone metabolism, and that could also help modulate SHBG. So when I look at patients that have SHBG issues, I had a male patient just a few minutes ago, we chatted, SHBG was high. His levels of testosterone were actually mid-range for free, maybe even above mid-range for free, and his total testosterone looked great. Estradiol looked good, DHT looked good. There were really no abnormal hormone levels there, and so we're doing things to modulate his SHBG with different herbs, right? Things like maca are wonderful, tonkat ali is wonderful. Of course, all the foundational nutrients are great for SHBG. Vitamin D3, magnesium, zinc, boron, they all play very excellent roles. Maca all play very good roles in modulating SHBG. Calorie restriction also helps with SHBG. Now, why? Well, low calories help with insulin resistance. The problem with trying to reduce insulin levels with low calorie is you get hungry. And then what does that cause? More cravings of more typically crappy bad foods. So you're much better off doing a lower carbohydrate type of anti-inflammatory paleo template, because that way you become more of a fat burner. You have more ketones in your body. Ketones suppress your appetite, so you're not craving junky or crappier foods, and that defeats that vicious cycle. So lots of studies on calorie restriction and helping to improve SHBG, thus improving insulin, but you can have similar effects by doing kind of a paleo lower carb template where the foods are anti-inflammatory, nutrient dense, and low toxin, and you get the macros more on the lower side, right? You do more lower on the carbohydrate. So try to focus on lots of your cruciferous green vegetables on the non-starchy veg, and then small amounts of fruit and starch, and then good healthy fats that from mainly animal-based fats and some good mono unsaturated fats, fish oil, those kind of things are fine too. And then, of course, good, healthy animal protein sources are the way to go. So just wanted to highlight a couple things here for y'all. I'm going to do a quick I got a couple articles I want to show y'all real quick. Testing this out. I'm going to shrink myself. There we go. So this is a really cool article I saw here. So talking about SHBG, ways to lower SHBG out of the gates here. So of course, good healthy cruciferous vegetables are going to be really important. Why? Cruciferous veggies are going to help improve estrogen metabolism. The cruciferous has things in there called diindol methane, indole 3-carbinol, which are healthy at metabolizing estrogen. So estrogens can increase binding globulins, so improving your cruciferous veggies. More protein, I already mentioned that, right? Protein can lower SHBG, right? So there's right here, exposed correlation, protein intake and SHBG. The lower the protein intake, the higher the concentration of SHBG. Thus, increased protein lowers SHBG. And then different supplements. I already mentioned a couple off the bat, tonkat ali. I already mentioned fish oil, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc. Again, magnesium, very powerful, 300 different enzymatic roles in the body. Vitamin D, powerful immunomodulator. Fish oil, good omega-3 anti-inflammatory fats. Again, getting fish oil or getting omega-3s from plant-based products, especially when you're inflamed and you're insulin resistant, the best sources are, let's say, alpha-linolenic acid, or alpha-linolenic acid. And linoleic is the omega-6. Linolenic is going to be like flaxseed, not that good. Chia seed, not that good. 80% doesn't convert. So getting your good quality fish oil, much better. Boron, tonkat ali, very good herbs. Maca is also excellent as well. So that's one article I wanted to highlight for y'all. Want to make sure that makes sense. And then again, overtraining actually increases SHBG. Think about it, right? If you're overtraining, does your body want to be more anabolic or does it want to be more catabolic when you're overtraining? What's happening, right? Well, your body's going to be more catabolic. So what happens to your testosterone that's free? Does it go up or down? It goes down. So what you're going to see typically is you're going to see an increase of SHBG with the same level of testosterone. So functionally, you're going to have less bioavailable, less free testosterone, resulting in lower muscle recovery because you're catabolic, right? Catabolics breaking down, anabolics building up. Also, let me know if you guys like this little shrunken mode where I put myself on the corner and pull up some articles. Want to know if you guys like that. Maybe it's more visual so you guys can see more what I'm looking at on my side. Vegetarian diets here, they're talking about increasing or improving SHGB levels. Part of it is they're using high quality protein sources. I think they're using like a pea protein here, which can be very helpful. They're talking about right here, this conclusion that researchers observed similar levels of total testosterone in vegetarians and omnivores. Again, this diet, this is interesting. Vegetarians had 50% higher levels of SHGB. Again, the big issues is going to be low SHGB in females. So my concern with SHGB in females is going too low. That's going to increase free testosterone. Of course, in men, my concern is going too high. Just want to make sure estrogens aren't going too high. Want to make sure organic food's good. And I want to make sure we're not getting exposed to excessive plastics. A couple other things here. Using SHBG to optimize your health. Sex hormone binding globulin is overlooked biomarker that has critical impact on your health and athletic performance. Do you need to start consuming vegetarian diet to increase your SHBG and lower your risk of cardiovascular disease? Or do you need to increase your caloric intake to unchain testosterone levels and fuel your muscles? So number one, a lot of BS here. Let me kind of break that down. All right, you can get a lot of plant-based nutrition and still eat high quality animal products, okay? Part of the reason why animal products get a bad name with SHGB is if you're eating animal products that have a whole bunch of hormones in it, that's going to increase your SHGB. So just consume healthy animal products that are organic and you're not going to have the increase in SHGB. Okay. Number two, if you do too much carbs in your plant-based products, right? Rice and beans, that's 2/3 starch. You can actually decrease your SHGB if you're female because a lot of carbs causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance also is going to increase your androgen. So just be mindful, a lot of times there's confounding variables when you look at articles like this. So I'm just kind of giving you my clinical perspective because I see this stuff happening in real life. And I want to give you what the take is. Like you see a lot of stuff here saying, oh, low calorie. Well, what's the deal with low calorie? Low calorie helps with insulin levels. Well, can we eat adequate calories and also help with insulin levels? Yeah, we can. We can do kind of a ketogenic, lower carb, less than net 50 grams of carbohydrates a day, good healthy fats, good healthy proteins, and we can still get a lot of the benefits. So again, clinically, most of my issues that I see with SHGB are going to be on the low side with women, high side with men. Make sure that you're keeping insulin levels in check. Lots of cruciferous vegetables. Make sure you're getting some exercise in. If you're on the low side, work on insulin sensitizing compounds. Fish oil's excellent. Magnesium's great. We can always do extra things like vitamin D, alpha lipoic acid. Myo-inositol is wonderful for ovarian cysts. Therefore, it helps with insulin levels. Of course, men, we can do tongkat, we can do zinc, we can do magnesium, we can do maca. We can make sure that we're eating organic food. We can make sure we're avoiding pesticides and plastic byproducts. I hope that makes sense. Cruciferous is always good. Adding in extra DIM or diindol methane or indole 3-carbinol or calcium to glucarate if estrogen levels are up can always be helpful. High estrogens will increase SHGB. Lowering that with the diet and lifestyle and supplement means can also help decrease SHGB. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments if you did. Give me some shares and likes. If you want to reach out to myself, I am available worldwide for y'all. Click down below. Colleagues that I work with are also there to help you as well. Let me dive into some questions with you guys. What is cooking? Let me know. All right, I may skip questions if they don't pertain to the topic. Sometimes we get some questions out of left field, which is okay. But if it doesn't pertain, I may skip it. Okay, here. Is it a good idea to take a break from DHEA and progesterone after taking them several months, then reintro them after a couple weeks? It can be. My goal with DHEA, if someone has chronically low DHEA levels, up to 6 months to a year may be okay. I mean, I don't want people to be on bioidentical hormones typically more than a year unless they're menopausal or unless they really need that extra bit of progesterone. Once a woman has 6 really good cycles, and let's say their cycles were off and we've really gotten them back on track, then I like to kind of come off the progesterone after 6 months. So it just depends kind of where they're at. Some people, if they're in the middle of a lot of stress, I'll make some exceptions. And if they're more menopausal or perimenopausal, then we can definitely make exceptions with that for sure. What are sources of glyphosate if tests come back high if you are 100% organic? That's a good question. I mean, it would really just be in your diet and potentially in your yard, right? If your neighbor's spraying a whole bunch of their weeds with glyphosate, it could come from that too. And then maybe your water supply. So a good reverse osmosis water filter is great too. Oh, also, yeah, so stinging nettle can also be helpful to decrease SHGB as well. Stinging nettle is good too. Will it fix estrogen dominance permanently or as long as you take it? So it just depends what the cause of estrogen dominance is. A lot of times estrogen dominance could be just from relatively low levels of progesterone. It could be from poor detoxification. It could be from high levels of estrogen from in the environment from non-organic animal products, pesticides, and plastics. And or it could be normal estrogen. It's just the ratio's off. So it really depends on what's going on. You have to look at that. Plus, dysbiosis in the gut can create increased beta-glucuronidase, and that can make it harder to metabolize estrogen at the gut level. Do you like berberine for PCOS? Yeah, PCOS, berberine's good for that. Myo-inositol is good. Alpha-lipoic acid, B vitamins, magnesium, all very helpful. If a male is dealing with low cortisol, libido is okay, but very tired after a diet, is dialed in, lowish carbish, taking good B vitamins, anything else to help energy. So it would depend. Want to make sure thyroid and adrenal is good. Depending on that imbalance, we could do different herbs or hormones if those things are out of balance. Is it possible to reverse idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis? Possibly. So number one, if there's a lot of inflammation, pulmonary fibrosis is basically the vessels going to the lungs they're basically narrowed, right? Think of like coronary artery disease, right? Blockages in the arteries. It's kind of like that to your lungs from what I understand. So I know there's an autoimmune component to pulmonary fibrosis. Let me just double check that though. Autoimmune, see, I'm not going to be cocky here. I'm going to test myself out, make sure I got it. Autoimmune and pulmonary fibrosis. I'm pretty sure there's a link here. Let's see. Yeah, so Sjogren's syndrome and scleroderma can affect your lungs and cause pulmonary fibrosis. So there is an autoimmune connection. That was correct. Okay, good. So in general, make sure autoimmune mechanism stuff is good, right? You can take a look at doing a gut test, make sure zonulin levels aren't overly high. You can make sure your diet's autoimmune paleo. You can do things like vitamin D, glutathione. You may even want to think about doing nebulized glutathione. You may even want to think about doing systemic enzymes to help with any of the scar tissue in the lung area. Those enzymes may have a beneficial effect at kind of clearing down some of that scar tissue. Okay, I know in conventional medicine world, they typically tell you like there's not much you can do. I'm sorry, conventional, not that much you can do, but there are things you can do. Just make sure you get to the root underlying cause, and part of that is going to be autoimmune. Let me give some Facebook some love here, guys. Can I use an antihistamine to sleep better? I mean, it's a side effect of antihistamine is drowsiness, right? So yeah, you're using the side effect of the medication to help get you to sleep, but you're much better off getting to the root cause. So if it's high cortisol or if you have amino acid issues, I'd much rather see you do things like magnesium or 5-HTP or lemon balm or valerian root or GABA or theanine. So I'd rather make sure you get to the root cause versus use a medication that has a side effect that's not good. So worst case, yeah, but get to the root cause and use supplements that are closer to supporting the root cause. Okay, good. Excellent questions. What are your thoughts on repairing the limbic system in chronic illness? So like you're talking about kind of the emotional part of the brain that kind of interprets emotional stress. I mean, that's helpful. I mean, there's techniques like EMDR, EFT, DNRS, NLP. There's lots of good techniques that where you can tap and do things to kind of calm down that stress interpretation response. I think it's great. People that are chronically sick, they kind of get into a victim kind of mode. They've really bonded to their illness, and it's really important that you take the chains so you're not bonded to your illness. You want to separate yourself from that. Can I get your advice on how to get your taste and smell back after, the dreaded C word? We can't talk about the dreaded C word here. So just people listening, they have AI intelligence that will basically type out every single thing I say. So I have to be careful in avoiding topics that may get me censored. So the dreaded C word, we can't talk about it because I will get censored and you will not see me again. And there's too many things I want to help you guys with. So just know the dreaded C word is something we cannot address. But if you go and look at any of my articles or videos on immune boosting support, herbs, diet, supplementation, those are all great strategies to look at to get your immune system supported. Okay, good. All right, so higher carb for males are better for lowering SHBG. So no, same thing with, yes, yeah. Well, I would say higher carbs are going to improve low SHBG. So low SHBG, dropping the carbs will actually improve it. So same thing in men. You're probably going to see low SHBG in men due to higher carbs. But women are very much affected because of PCOS and all of that. Men tend to get more estrogen, right? Because they increase aromatase, and aromatase will increase estrogen, and estrogen technically could increase SHBG. So yeah, it's possible high estrogen could increase SHBG. So keeping carbs down, I think, could have an effect there. Okay, very good. Any tips for fixing a hiatal hernia? Would increasing stomach acid work? So hiatal hernia typically is an effect, not a cause. So there's different techniques with hiatal hernia. So first off, what is a hiatal hernia? Here's your diaphragm. Okay, here is your esophagus, and my fist is the stomach. So normally it's like this, right? Diaphragm, fingers the esophagus, fist is the stomach. Hiatal hernia is that stomach starts to pop through the diaphragm. That's what that is, okay? So as a chiropractor, you can come in there. I'm a doctor in chiropractic, so I would used to do techniques where you'd breathe in. When you breathe in, you expand this area. So what happens is the diaphragm naturally goes up, right? So breathe in. Diaphragm kind of goes up. And then what you would do is you get your hand kind of between the diaphragm and the stomach. And then when you breathe out, you'd pull that down and create some space. That's one thing that involves a good visceral massage therapist or a chiropractor. You can also do the cheap man's method where you just get on your toes, lift your arms up, drink a thing of water, and just drop. That can be helpful. So this kind of raise the diaphragm up, and then you're dropping it. You're like doing this. It's like you're trying to like flick off some gum that's stuck in your hand. You're like, oh, trying to flick it off. You're trying to flick that diaphragm, try to flick that stomach and esophagus down. That's the thinking on that. Okay. Let me keep rolling with y'all here. Previous athletes started AIP diet, started physical activity again. Any test outside of GI map I can test to make sure I'm on my way to pulmonary issues. So you can do an organic acids would be really good just to get a window into how all your nutrients, metabolic pathways are doing. Gut's going to be a major source of inflammation. So looking at gut is going to be a wonderful way to see what's going on. Is flax bad for female or male hormones? Not that it's bad. A lot of people are just doing it to support omega-3s, and you're not moving the needle that much. So if you're doing it like on a dressing or something like that, it's cool. Just don't do it for your main source of omega-3s. Okay, and if you're a vegetarian vegan, try to make an exception with yourself. Do some cod liver oil, do some fish oil. And if you're still hung up on that, then do some concentrated algae, because that's where fish make their omega-3. They concentrate it from algae. So go to algae. You can still do chia seed and flax. It's just not going to be the best source. That delta-5 desaturase enzyme is going to be significantly impaired, especially when you're inflamed. So go to the actual fish oil that's EPA, DHA, 20 carbon, 22 carbon, eicosapentaenoic acid, docosahexaenoic acid, much better sources. Okay, good. Back knee, I have superb diets, been on Lyme, other infections kill over the years, still have residual scabbing lumps on my back and back of the neck, biofilm related, thanks. So I'm seeing your name, Lizzie, guessing you're a female. So first thing I would look at is get your androgens down. So androgens, get them down. First thing to do is cut your carbohydrates, a lot more cruciferous vegetables, work on your gut. I see a lot of gut and dysbiosis issues can easily cause acne. Now, easiest thing you can do to help with acne is increase natural animal sources of vitamin A. Liver and cod liver oil are awesome. And then you can also work on getting extra zinc in your diet. Probiotics, very helpful. There's a bunch of researchers from, I think, the 1920s. I think it's Pillsbury and Stokes. They did studies on acne in the 1920s using cod liver oil and probiotics. I mean, crazy. Like 100 years ago, they're talking about these things we're talking about now, yet dermatologists, you'll go into their office, you'll look at their little brochure, it'll say nothing to do. Acne has nothing to do with your diet, which is just absolutely crazy. Okay, great. Any general guidelines to fix low libido for a young male? Yeah, so number one, make sure you're not consuming estrogens. Make sure you're not consuming any food out of plastics. I mean, if you're storing it in the fridge and it's cool, not a big deal. It's really when it's out in the sun or when it gets hot. So store your food in glass, ideally. You drink out of a stainless steel water bottle. 100% organic, lots of cruciferous vegetables. And then you can use some different herbs to bump up your sex hormones. Zinc and selenium are amazing, especially if you're low in it. And you can use things like maca and ashwagandha to help. You can use things like tankat ali, horny goatweed. It is what it is, right? It's in the name. And then tribulus are all excellent ways to support libido. All right, y'all, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, let me know. Put your comments down below. Give me the love. I want to feel it. I want to feel it. Share it with friends and family, and please let others know so they can benefit from this information. And if you want to reach out to me below, I'm here. I work all day, 60 hours a week with patients all over the world. I'm here to serve y'all. 99.9% of people I help, I don't ever work with. It's sad. So let me know your love down below and your successes so I can enjoy them with y'all. All right, guys. One more question here. What fruits and vegetables to avoid if they are high in histamine? So high histamine fruits and vegetables are typically going to be citrus, of course, anything fermented. So sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, even though they're good things, they may be high in histamine. And then, of course, like any of your aged meats are going to be a big thing. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, y'all. Bye now.